you've seen my other videos, you know that I've made probably 200 patches for the circuit. And after I made a ton of patches for it, it quickly became used in my studio and set up permanently as a sound module. And so I have MIDI permanently connected to it and audio output that I can just switch over to it right away. And so I figured out how to split and layer these two powerful synths that are in the circuit. And there are also some new MIDI features with the latest OS, and so this video is going to cover all of that. I think you can see the potential of having synth 1 under your left hand and synth 2 under your right hand. Here I have an automated bass line on my left hand and an automated chord on my right hand. Okay, so what we're doing here is receiving the raw MIDI data from whatever your controller, your keyboard controller is. It doesn't matter what kind it is. The MIDI is coming into Ableton, and then we're going to use these two MIDI channels right here, one MIDI and two MIDI, to filter the MIDI and send it out. When you plug your circuit in via USB, you'll see it down here. You select circuit for both of those MIDI channels, and the first one you make channel 1 and the second one channel 2. Now you could make a third and use it to control your drum track if you wanted to, and the drum track is usually on channel 10. Now after I finish doing this, I'm going to show you how to change that MIDI channel inside the circuit if you'd like to send and receive on another MIDI channel. And of course you want to record and enable those two tracks as well. So the first MIDI channel is synth 1, and let's say we want that to be our bass sound, and we want to have that on the lower part of the keyboard. You go under MIDI effects and you put a MIDI effect rack in there, and you put pitch effect on there and hit this little icon here and select key. Now here's where we filter this so that none of these MIDI notes are going to go onto the upper keys. You drag this green marker down to just below C3. So now everything below C3 could be your bass notes. And then you just copy that, paste that into the second MIDI channel, and then just put the filter from C3 on up. And you could also do a layer if you wanted to for part of that or whatever you want to do. But this is just the filter for where this MIDI will be routed to. Wherever this green marker is, the MIDI will be routed to that. So if you wanted to set up an automated bass line, for example, you could take the arpeggiator and put it inside the MIDI effect rack. Now that way this arpeggiator would not affect synth 2, would not affect the upper keys on your keyboard. You could have a separate arpeggiation or other MIDI effects as well. So you might have strings on your upper keys, and you might want to put a chord effect on there and have it automatically play a chord. And so you could have one note bass line and one note chords as I had in the video. Now let's talk about how to change the MIDI channels within the circuit. The first thing you probably want to do is upgrade your circuit to the latest OS, which at this point, the point of this video, is 1.8. And this adds being able to change MIDI channels for each track from the settings view. So you have 3 tracks on the circuit, and let's take a look at what MIDI channel each track is on. So we'll enter the setup menu by holding Shift while powering on. What this screen represents here, or what we're concerned with, are these 16 pads right there, which represent the 16 MIDI channels 1 through 8 and 9 through 16. And when we hit synth 1, we see that this pad is lit much brighter, meaning that synth 1 is on channel 1. We hit synth 2, we see that the number 2 pad is lit, meaning it's set up on MIDI channel 2. And when we hit any of the drums, we should see the same channel because they're all on the same channel, which by default is on pad 10, and I'm fine with that. That's the default setup, and that's fine for me. But just know that this is how you change MIDI channels if you want to do that. So if you have made any changes, you want to hit play at the end to save those. And then you probably want to reboot. So I'll just shut that down and reboot it.